Hey everybody, I am James the Sock Guy, and I'd like to welcome you back to the Sock Drawer Knitting Podcast. This is episode 9, I believe. I hope you guys are all doing really well. It's been about a week since my last episode. I put out a call last time, and throughout the week I said, hey, my next episode is just going to be a little Q&A episode, so anybody that might have any questions for me could submit them, and we just sit and chat for a little bit. No finished objects this episode, no half objects, no new yarn to show, just a informal little chat for us to all just, sit around and get to know one another. But I also mentioned that I had a little visitor coming to stay with me for a little bit. My friend Michaela was going on vacation and was, kind enough to let me take care of her guinea pig. I mentioned that we already have 4 guinea pigs, so adding a 5th to the mix was no big deal. But I have Piper with me, and I've promised to show him that he is a big baked potato. Hey, Pipies, how you doing? You want to see? You want to get on camera for the people? All right, let me see if I can do this without him wiggling all around and stuff. This is Piper. Oh my goodness, look how big he is. He is so big. Yes, see? Say hi to all the knitters out there, Piper. This is Piper. He is... Let's see, we got our guinea pigs around the same time, so in 2020. So they're about 5 years old now. And Piper is still going strong, as are our 4 guinea pigs. He doesn't really weak all that much like guinea pigs do. But he does chatter a lot when he's happy. When you pet him, he's like, whoop, whoop, whoop. Make it. See if you can hear those noises. No? Say hi to the people. Anyways, this is Piper. He's a big old fat potato, baked potato guinea pig. He's huge. Oh my goodness. He's the size of my arm. Yes, you are. But yeah, so this is Piper, everybody. Say hi. Yes, this is the big boy. Anyways, all right, I'm going to put him down here. You've all seen Piper. There you go. You want to go back in your hut? You want to stay with me? Oh, you want to stay with me? Okay, I'll put you down here. You got to promise to be quiet, okay? Chill out. All right, guys. Listen, overwhelmingly positive response to my last podcast episode where I talked about feeling the pressure to always be knitting or creating or buying new yarn, to always have something to show here on the podcast. I was talking about how that was kind of getting to me, and I was putting pressure on myself. And man, you guys came out in droves to say, hey man, don't do that. Don't put pressure on yourself. Just podcast when you want to podcast, talk about what you want to talk about. Yeah. And so the response was just really, really positive, and it was really encouraging. So this past week, I felt virtually no pressure to do anything. I mean, I still knit, obviously. I'll talk about that at the end of the podcast. But yeah, I still knit, but it wasn't like I didn't feel that, oh my God, I got to hurry up, to get something done for the podcast. It was just total chill and relaxed, and it was really nice. So I appreciate you guys letting me know how you feel, and just for, your support and encouraging me. It's really nice. We have a nice little community of knitters here that is slowly growing, and I'm just happy to be able to talk to you all and just to chat and have some fun. Hey, Piper. Yeah, we're going to have some fun today. All right, let me grab my iPad here. Oh. I didn't get a lot of questions. It's just fine. I didn't really expect a whole lot, and that's okay. So, but we have some stuff here to talk about for sure. All right, got that here. There's my iPad. See my fancy iPad case. For some reason, it reminded me of Taylor Swift's 1989. I don't know, just those blue colors and stuff. So I got this iPad case. Anyways, All right. Hi, Piper. You want to read some questions for me? All right. So the first question we got comes from Simone. Hi, Simone. Thank you for watching. And they ask, how did you get into knitting and how long have you been knitting? Well, that is a great question. I talked about it in my very first episode that I did, but honestly, those first like 2 or 3 episodes, they were pretty bad in terms of quality. I was just sort of getting my feet wet and testing out different things. So I don't blame people if they don't want to watch those or go back and watch those. But anyways, how did you get into knitting and how long have you been knitting? All right, this is gonna be I'm gonna give you the straight up answer. I started knitting for my mental health. Let's see, how far back do I want to go? Well, first of all, I come from a long line of knitters. My mother was a knitter. My grandmother was a knitter. My great-great-grandmother was a knitter. So knitting has always been in my family. I remember being a kid and my mom trying to teach me how to knit, but I just wasn't having any of it. So it's not something that I just picked up when I was a kid and, have been doing my whole life. It wasn't me. I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease when I was 18 years old. And I've lived with that my whole life. And I have always had a pretty aggressive form of the disease. I've had several major surgeries to remove parts of my intestines, my bowels, to combat the disease. But every couple of years, it would always seem to rear its ugly head, and I would have to go for another surgery and another surgery. I think I've had like 8 surgeries thus far in my life because of Crohn's disease. So when you have a chronic illness like that, you're always in pain, and it becomes part of you. It becomes part of your identity, dare I say, where not that you seek sympathy or anything like that, or you do it to get attention, but it's just who you are. You're just always in pain. You're always struggling. Life seems hard. So anyways, I've lived with that my whole life. Several major surgeries. I had another surgery in 2020. At the beginning of 2020, I had what I'm hoping will be my very last surgery. Because honestly, there's not much left in the guts for them to take out. That's how many surgeries I've had and how much stuff they've had to take out of me to combat this disease, because there's no cure for it. There's only treatment, and treatments never really seem to work on me. But anyway, so I had my surgery at the beginning of 2020, and it was great. I have been fine ever since. For the past 5 years, I've been aces. I've put on weight. I can eat anything I want. It's been fantastic. That being said, when I had my surgery in 2020 and afterwards I felt no pain, I didn't know who I was anymore. When I said that, when you live with this your whole life and you've been in pain and it becomes part of you, and all of a sudden that's gone. I mean, yet the natural instinct from somebody that does looking in from the outside would be, oh, you're pain-free. Now you can live your life. It's not that simple. It messes with your head. You don't know who you are anymore. It's weird. It's like having just a friend missing from your life all of a sudden, or somebody dying that you were really close to. It's so hard to explain. Anybody that has a chronic illness probably knows what I'm talking about, but all of a sudden that pain was gone. And I spent much of 2020 just spiraling out of control. A number of factors played into that. I mean, I've always struggled with my mental health. And anyways, I was just in a really bad headspace in 2020. And by the end of the year, I'll never forget it, on dear Pipers, careful, let's go this way. On New Year's Eve 2020, I was ready to check out, man. I was ready to say goodbye. I was ready to go, and not in a good way, if you know what I mean. But I knew that wasn't the answer, and I I couldn't do it, and I knew that was not the place to be. So I ended up going to the emergency room New Year's Eve 2020 and talking to somebody and getting some help. And long story short, I got put on some medication. I got hooked up with a therapist. And for the next year, we just worked through a lot of issues, and it really helped. And I am aces now. I still struggle a little bit with my mental health, as we all do, but I'm more aware of it now. I'm more aware of what signs to look for. When I know I'm not doing well, I have techniques that I can do to, put myself back on track. But anyways, in that whole brouhaha, in 2021, I started crocheting, because my friend Michaela, who I've mentioned, has been through a lot of stuff herself, and part of her treatment was to learn how to crochet years ago, and she said it really helped her. So I said, what the heck? I got nothing left to lose. I'll start to crochet. So I did, and I crocheted, blankets and more blankets and scarves and amigurumis and all this stuff, and I was having a lot of fun with crochet. But by the time August or September of 2021 rolled around, I really got the itch to teach myself how to knit, because that's what I grew up around, and I always thought of knitting as this really mystical craft, 2 sticks and some yarn and you can make a sweater. I was like, I gotta learn how to do that. And so I did. I just watched YouTube video after YouTube video, taught myself how to do a knit stitch and a purl stitch, knit some scarves, knit some shawls. From there, I got into sock knitting, and it was just YouTube videos. I just taught myself how to knit. So I've been knitting ever since, every day ever since, September 2021. So I've been knitting for 4 years now, and it has been an incredible journey. It's done wonders for my mental health. It is so much fun. It is not this mystical craft, it is, kind of way. I mean, you're performing some magic, man, when you knit. You got 2 sticks and some yarn, and it is, but it's not like growing up. I always thought it was just some unattainable skill. You know what I mean? That if you weren't born with it, or didn't grow up around it, and never saw it before, that you were just never able to learn it. That's not how it is. It's a few YouTube videos, and I was learning it. I had taught myself how to knit. So yeah. So Simone, that's a long way around of saying, how I got into knitting and how long I've been knitting. So yeah, so really it started off as a technique to help my mental health, and I ended up absolutely loving it. And here we are 4 years later, and I have a podcast about knitting. Who would have thought? Oh man, not me. All right. Let's see. Next question. Maria asks, where did you live in Canada? Yes, I grew up in Canada. I did not move to the United States until 2011. So I spent 34 years of my life, the first 34 years of my life in Canada before I moved to the United States. Where did I live in Canada? I was born in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, which is the capital city of Canada, Ottawa. And from there, I pretty much lived up and down the east coast of Ontario, Canada. Ontario is a province in Canada. It's pretty much, I guess you could say it's smack dab in the middle of Canada, because you got provinces on the other side, provinces on the one side. Yeah, but anyways, so I grew up in Ontario, pretty much lived up and down the eastern Ontario, Ottawa, Brockville, Prescott, Oshawa, Pickering, before finally making my way to Toronto. And I spent a significant amount of time in Toronto. And yeah, that was fun. I do not want to live in a big city ever again. Since I moved to the United States in 2011 with my wife, I live in the country. We have few neighbors around us, but there's just no hustle and bustle. When I lived in Toronto, I took subways everywhere. I took buses everywhere. I walked everywhere, and it was fun. But I'm at that age now where I just I don't like large crowds. It's funny, my wife and I were talking about this the other night because we went to Disney World back in 2012. And we were like, could we really do that today? And we were like, no, probably not. Large crowds just doesn't appeal to me. I enjoy a quiet life. So I live in the country now. We got a house, and it's nice. But yeah, that's where I lived in Canada. It was up and down Eastern Ontario. It was it's a beautiful part of the country. There's lots going on. Those smaller towns like Prescott, man, Prescott is like, I don't even know how many it is. It's funny. Prescott, Ontario has like, I think maybe 4,000 people. I live in a town now that's smaller than that. I live in a town now that's like 2,500 people. So it's really small. But yeah, so that's where I grew up in Canada. And thank you, Maria, for your question. All right, next question comes from Blue Gals Knitting Podcast. She is a favorite of mine. She wants to know, she was talking about my voice for radio that I have, and and stuff like that in my podcast, and that's what that's part of why people enjoy listening to me, because I have this voice for radio. And it's funny that she said that, because I actually come from a radio broadcasting background. So she asked me to talk a little bit more about my background in radio and audio production and things like that. So I actually went to college in Canada for radio broadcasting. Well, it started in high school. In high school, I did an internship at the local radio station, and I absolutely fell in love with radio broadcasting. This was 93, 94 was when I had my internship in high school. And I fell in love with it. It was fantastic. And so once I graduated high school in 1995, I went straight to college and did 2 years of radio broadcasting training, which was fun. I enjoyed it. But in my second year of college is when I got diagnosed with Crohn's disease. And so once I graduated college, I got a job, in radio broadcasting, but I became so sick that it took me off the air for an extended amount of time. And by the time I was healthy enough to get back up on my feet, and it's just like all that time had passed me by, and I never went back to it. I had decided that I wasn't going to do that, because it is a high pressure job, and it's a lot of hours. You don't get a lot of sleep. And for someone with Crohn's disease, it's not a very good environment, unfortunately, because you're always stressed, which aggravates the disease. You're always tired, and having Crohn's disease makes you tired anyway, so you're extra tired. You're always dragging your ass. And so I just said, unfortunately, I couldn't do it anymore. So my first love was always writing and books and things like that. So I turned my attention towards writing, and I wrote novels while having a career. I don't even know if it's much of a career, just a career in the retail industry, which itself was stressful, but a lot less stressful than radio broadcasting. So I was writing novels, working in retail management, things like that. After I moved to the United States, I had the chance, before that, I had written a novel, and I've always loved audiobooks. And so in 2008, I discovered what's called Podiobooks. Okay, so it is basically serialized audio fiction. Back in 2005, there were a small group of authors that started recording their audiobooks by themselves and releasing them, like releasing each chapter a week as like serialized audio fiction online. And that really intrigued me, because I still loved the production side I still loved audio production, and I loved using my voice to record things. So I started doing that myself in 2008. So there was like a wave of podcast authors around that time. And so I was one of those authors, and I actually got signed to a book deal because of it, because my podcast drew so many listeners, and it drew the interest of publishing houses. And so a lot of us ended up getting book deals because of our audio podcast, our podio books as they're called. And so that was a lot of fun for a while. But it was it didn't last. You know what I mean? Like it was sort of like a flash in the pan type of thing. I mean, it lasted for like 5 or 6 years, but in the grand scheme of things, that's not a lot of time, you know? So I published some books, and I think around, I don't know when it was, 2017, 2018, a friend of mine, an author friend of mine, was recording her audiobooks to actually sell as audiobooks on like Audible and Apple and sites like that, you know, not serialized podcast fiction, just actual audiobooks. And she asked if I would be interested in doing the production and editing for all of that. So I did that for a good long while. So yeah, we were like a great team. She would record her chapters, she would send them to me, and I would edit them and, you know, put them through the production side of things, the audio production side of things, and she would sell them on Audible. And so that was a lot of fun too. But again, she's kind of stepped away from writing, and she has her own thing going on now. So now I'm just a full-time writer again. But not writing books. I'm writing about movies and TV in the entertainment industry, which is fine. So it's interesting where life takes you, you know? Like I said before, I'm going to be 48 this year, and it's just, I've had a heck of a life, you know, and it's just been really interesting. And you don't really think about it all that much, but when you step back to look at, you know, the forest through the trees type of thing, and I just think about all the things I've done, I'm like, man, I've done a lot of stuff, you know, even like I would go so far, like telemarketing when I was in high school. I did telemarketing for companies, you know, just because of my voice. And anyways, I've done a lot of stuff. But yeah, that's basically my background in audio production and radio broadcasting. That's a long way to talk about it. But anyways, that's that. All right. And let's see. One last question here. Like I said, I didn't get a lot of questions, and that's okay. We still got to talk and sit and chat and see Piper. But my last question comes from Ella. She's like, I was talking about The Last of Us in video games, my last episode. She says, did I play Fallout, the video game Fallout, and watch the series? And she also wants to know where I get my t-shirts from, because I wear a lot of t-shirts on the show, like Frog and Toad t-shirts, and she was talking about my Where the Wild Things t-shirt is. I can't stand up because Piper's on my lap. This one says, I wish it was Friday, and it has little Jason Voorhees on it from Friday the 13th. This one I got at Spirit Halloween. Love Spirit Halloween. But my Frog and Toad shirts that I get, or my Where the Wild Things t-shirt that I was wearing last week, I get those at Target, believe it or not. Target has a large selection of Frog and Toad t-shirts. But you can find them online as well too. I love t-shirts. I love graphic t-shirts. I got a lot of horror shirts because I'm a big horror movie guy. But I don't wear those on the show as much because some of them are a little brutal. Like I got a Terrifier 2 shirt the other day, which has like a bloody Art the Clown on it. And I'm just like, that's probably not for everybody. So I won't wear that on the podcast. Just out of respect for those that, you know, don't like horror. So anyway, so I get my t-shirts at Target and online. I get a lot of shirts online. But did I play Fallout and watch the series? You know, I did play that Fallout video game. I think it was Fallout 4. That one where there's like the Brotherhood faction that you can join. I played that. I really, really enjoyed that. That was the only Fallout game I've ever played, and I loved it. I've played it through twice because there was 2 factions you can join. You know, I played as the Brotherhood, and I can't remember the other faction, but anyways, I played that through twice. I really loved it. As far as the series Fallout on Amazon Prime Video, you know, I tried to watch it, and maybe it was me. I just wasn't feeling it at the time. I couldn't get into it. I only watched like the first episode. Yeah, I only watched the first episode. I never watched beyond that. Because as much as I loved playing the Fallout video game, Fallout 4, I'm not steeped in the lore of Fallout, so it's not, I like it, but I don't love it, so maybe one of these days I'll go back and try and watch the series again, now that I'm far removed from Fallout and whatever, but I don't know. I got to be in the mood for stuff like that. I just haven't been in the mood, so. Oh, excuse me. I haven't really watched the Amazon Prime series. What am I watching now? I'm not really watching anything right now. Well, I'm watching Stranger Things on and off. I'm in preparation for the 5th and final season. I'm rewatching Stranger Things. I finished season 1. I'm on season 2, but I haven't watched an episode in like 3 or 4 days, so I'm not really watching anything, steadily right now. I watched, I mentioned before, I'm a big pro wrestling fan. I watched WWE Money in the Bank last night. That was a lot of fun. If you're a wrestling fan, oh my God, R-Truth, how about that? But in terms of movies and TV shows, I did watch that horror movie Bring Her Back that recently came out. I watched that. That was effed up, man. That was messed up. If you're a horror movie fan, check that one out, because that one will mess with your head. But yeah, so that's about it. In terms of knitting, I'll just wrap this up real quick. I actually did start that the Enchanted Forest shawl by Rachel Keener that I showed last episode as well, that I was going to start, that I bought the kit for. I actually started it. Oh my God, it is so gorgeous. I just finished the first section of the shawl. It's not a very big section. I think right now there's maybe 62 stitches on the needle right now. It increases every right side row. You do a make one right, so it slowly increases over time. Started off with 6 stitches. Now I'm at 62 stitches on the needle. I'm just about to start a brioche section. Oh man, I love brioche. I don't do enough brioche. Obviously knitting socks, there's not a lot of brioche stuff in socks. At least not that I've come across anyway, but I did knit a brioche scarf one time. I love brioche. I don't do enough brioche, so it's fun doing this shawl. There are so many cool stitch patterns as you go through it, that I'm just having a blast. So I see myself working on that for like the better part of the foreseeable future. I have a sock on the needle, but I'm having so much fun knitting this shawl right now that I'm just going to keep going until the wheels fall off, kind of thing, So when I come back and see you next time, I might not have a sock, but I'm going to have a nice good chunk of this shawl to show you, because it's definitely I'm laser focused on this right now. So it's a lot of fun. But that's what I've been knitting right now. Oh, there's my iPad. All right, I'm going to put that down. All right, guys, I'm going to bring this one to a close. Like I said, just a short little Q&A session. I hope that, helped you get to know a little bit more about me. And we got the big chunky Piper. Oh, look at this guy. Say goodbye, Pipey. Woo. Hey, big boy. Let's get him up to the camera here. Hi, buddy. All right, baby. Let's say goodbye to the people. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching, for just the support, your kind words of encouragement, everything. It means the world to me. So thank you so much, everybody. Happy knitting, and I will talk to you again next time. Bye-bye.